North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. What do we do on this broadcast? We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. In other words, we depropagandize the mainstream media. We do make commentary. That is not news, that's opinion, both yours and mine. And so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. We're finding out more about the Kansas City shooting yesterday that happened when the Kansas City Chiefs were celebrating their Super Bowl victory. There was massive gunfire, and a whole lot of people were badly injured. In fact, one dead, 21 wounded. And the latest story comes from USA Today. This is a summary of news on the Kansas City Chiefs parade shooting that happened yesterday. For the latest news, go to USA Today's live updates file for today. Bullets ripped through crowds of spectators following a Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade. Attended by tens of thousands on Wednesday, that killed one, injured at least 21 others in the nation's latest shooting assault at a major sports concert venue. Kansas City, Missouri police confirmed shots were fired west of Union Station at 2 p.m. local time. Interim Fire Chief Ross Grindison said at a news conference that 22 people suffered gunshot wounds, including one fatality, 8 with immediately life-threatening injuries, 7 with life-threatening injuries, and 6 with minor injuries. Several people near the parade route were carried away on stretchers. Lisa Augustine, spokesperson for the Children's Mercy Kansas City, said the hospital was treating 12 patients from the rally, including 11 children, some of whom suffered gunshot wounds. Police Chief Stacey Graves said 3 people had been detained. Detectives are investigating whether one person was among a group of bystanders who assisted police and possibly tackled an assailant. That actually turned out to be true. In fact, that person was interviewed by Aaron Burnett out front on CNN. This is that report. Yeah, that was Paul Contreras, who is the guy that tackled one of the suspects. And that was an heroic act. Well done, Paul. Congratulations. There was there were some very interesting responses. I say interesting, they are appropriate. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is praying for Kansas City after the team's Super Bowl parade celebration on Wednesday, yesterday, that turned into tragedy as multiple people were shot, at least one person killed. Kansas City Police Department Chief Stacey Graves confirmed up to 22 people wounded in the shooting and 3 suspects in custody. All Chiefs players, coaches, and staff are accounted for. Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas confirmed all that. This is absolutely a tragedy we would have never expected in Kansas City, Mayor Lucas said. Mahomes, who won the MVP in Super Bowl 58, sent out a tweet alongside several prayer hand emojis. He is one of the many NFL players sending their condolences, praying for Kansas City, says Patrick Mahomes. But he is not the only one. A statement from the Kansas City Chiefs. We are truly saddened by the senseless act of violence that occurred outside of Union Station at the conclusion of today's parade and rally. Our hearts go out to the victims, their families, and all of Kansas City. We are in close communication with the mayor's office as well as the Kansas City Police Department. At this time, we have confirmed that all of our players, coaches, and staff, their families as well, are safe and accounted for. We thank local law enforcement officers and first responders who were on the scene to assist. Travis Kelce said, I am heartbroken over the tragedy that took place today. My heart is with all who came out to celebrate with us and have been affected. KC, you mean the world to me. And there was even more tragedy when it came to this shooting. The ABC News is reporting a mass shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl celebration claimed the life of a local radio DJ. The person who lost their life, one person lost their life. And that person turns out to be a DJ. Her name is Lisa Lopez Galvan, known as Lisa Lopez. She worked at a community station in Kansas City, and she was a 44-year-old radio DJ and mother of two. And this was the report from one of the local Kansas City television stations yesterday. Okay, so someone can hear me breathing, but apparently we're having a little bit of trouble with the audio on our video. Is that true? So let me know, John. Thanks very much for that. I don't know why you could hear me breathing. I really don't have any idea. I think there may be an issue. We'll take care of it during the break, and we'll see what we can do about getting that all taken care of. One of the weird things about computers, you know, when you're using computers to handle your production, what ends up happening is that they change their mind from time to time. I don't know exactly what the circumstance is, but during this upcoming break here, we'll be able to discuss that. So let me ask the chat folks: can you hear me talking? Can you hear me talking? I want to do a couple of tests here. This technical crap just drives me up the wall. But can you hear me talking right this very moment? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, yes, you can hear me talking. Okay, now I'm going to do something. I'm going to ask you if you can hear me talking now. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you hear me talking now? Can you hear me talking now? Please let me know. Can you hear me talking now? That was me doing a test. Could you hear me talking when I was just talking? Yes or no? Just go to the chat room and say, yes, you could hear me talking. So when you hear me like this, you can hear me talking. Is that right? That's wonderful. That's fantastic. I know what that means. So that's a setting on my computer. We are listening. Yeah, we are listening. We are listening to the wrong microphone. I will get that fixed here. Wait a minute. Maybe I can just do it right now. Let me see what I can do about doing it right now. Let's go right over here. Yeah. Yeah. What is happening? Let's see. That's supposed to be on. That is on. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mic one is on. Okay, hang on just a couple of seconds here. Let's see. That's supposed to be the output. That's supposed to be the input. Let me double check this. Default Blackmagic 9. Did that change anything? Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Did that change anything? Does it sound a little better now? Let me see what I can do. Randy, does it sound a little bit better now? John, does it sound better now? Did we get that done? Sounds clearer. Okay, now let me play this one thing. This is so bad. I am so sorry about this. But from time to time, the computer just changes things. So let me do this. Let me play that report regarding Lisa Lopez, the DJ who lost her life. One person loses her life. It is Lisa Lopez, who is a community DJ, a community radio station DJ. Here is that report one more time on the Wells Report today.
We know the name of the one person who has been confirmed dead in that shooting.
Her name is Lisa Perez Galvin. She's known as Lisa Lopez, and she worked as a DJ at a local radio station.
KCTV5's Mark Palos joins us live now outside 90.1 KKFI Community Radio as he tries to learn more about her tonight. Mark, what can you tell us about her?
Carolyn, Lisa Lopez Galvan hosted a radio show here at KKFI Radio every Tuesday night from 8 until 10 p.m. I'm going to take a step out of frame so you can see the station and its call letters here in Midtown. But the show is called Taste of Tejano and aired 8 to 10 p.m. on Tuesdays and showcased the Tejano music from the North Mexico region. Now, tonight, the station released a statement, and it says in its entirety, quote, "It is with sincere sadness and an extremely heavy and broken heart that we let our community know that KKFI DJ Lisa Lopez, host of Taste of Tejano, lost her life today in the shooting at the KC Chiefs rally. Our hearts and prayers go out to the family." Now, Lopez Galvan was a graduate of Bishop Miege High School, and I can tell you as a fellow alum and graduate myself, the Miege community is mourning tonight and experiencing a deep sadness with the loss of one of our members. For now, reporting live outside KKFI in Midtown, Kansas City, Mark Palos, KCTV5 News.
Yeah, that is a tough story. DJs, radio personalities, are always at those events, and they are dangerous. And it is always sad when we lose somebody doing their job. This goes with traffic reporters. This goes with news correspondents. It goes with everybody that are out covering those events, and that someone would see the need to have a gunfight at what is supposed to be a joyous and wonderful event makes absolutely zero sense. The very epitome of senseless acts of violence. And so that is the latest there. We absolutely mourn the loss of Ms. Lisa Lopez as she leaves her children behind, and she leaves her career as well and her life, thanks to apparently 3 assailants who decided to shoot things up in Kansas City yesterday. I did not know Lisa Lopez. I had not heard of her before today. But all I can say is that when I did find out that she was the one who had lost her life, I was and remain epically sad. Lisa Lopez, gone in a shootout.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. We had a small technical glitch as my computer decided to not listen to this microphone, but listen to this microphone here. And apparently it's a really good one because people could hear me breathing. Really? That must have been disturbing. It's like breathing. Well, let's go back to some of the coverage that we had just attempted to get to you. One of them was Paul Contreras. Paul Contreras was a Good Samaritan who tackled one of the shooting suspects in Kansas City yesterday. Aaron Burnett from CNN out front had this report, and we bring it to you now.
We're there, and you shared video here of the moment that you helped tackle this person. What can you tell us about what happened in that moment?
I just heard somebody yelling to stop this guy, tackle him, and he was coming in the opposite direction. So you don't think about it. It's just a reaction. He got close to me. I got the right angle on him, and I hit him from behind. And when I hit him from behind, I either jarred the gun out of his hand or out of his sleeve, because as I'm taking him down to the ground, I see the gun on the ground. So I take him down, and I put all my body weight on him. And then another Good Samaritan comes over and is helping me because I kind of got him high, and the other guy gets him around his waist, and we're just putting our weight on him, and he's just fighting to get up, but we're fighting to keep him down. And another Samaritan comes over and puts his weight on us, and we're waiting for the cops to show up. They finally, they get there, and the second cop gets there, the third cop gets there, and then they pretty much take over. And I'm standing there for about a minute or two. You know, me and the cops didn't even have like one or two words, you know.
Wow.
Once they had him and got him cuffed, I sat there for 2 minutes with all my 3 daughters. And then we walked away. We headed toward our car.
Yeah, it takes a lot of guts to take on somebody with a gun, especially someone with a gun who has just used it. That guy is a star. And congratulations to Paul Contreras. Because who would have known what could have happened should that gunman have been able to escape? I mean, once you start shooting people, what stops you? The answer is not much. Maybe a good guy with a gun, or in this case, a good guy with bravery, courage, and the ability to knock somebody down on the ground. Good going, Paul Contreras. There's no doubt about it. He actually made his community much, much better. Now, as far as what's going on with these shooters, well, there are supposedly 3 people in custody. They're not exactly sure whether one of them was arrested properly or improperly, not from a standpoint of procedure, but from a standpoint of somebody got arrested and they're still trying to make sure that this person had something to do with the shooting. The only thing that we can say is that these guys, especially considering the death of Lisa Lopez, need to find themselves good attorneys, need to find themselves in a Kansas City courtroom, need to find themselves tried, and if indeed convicted by a jury of their peers, they need to be sentenced to death. And they need to have themselves a good appeal. You know, one really good appeal, one really good appeal. And then they need to go to where they should go from a justice standpoint, to their demise. We need to stop playing around with these people. They shouldn't be living on the public dole for 20 or 30 years while people fight over whether or not it's okay to take these scoundrels and remove them from society permanently. We need to quit messing around with this. Because if people realized that they were indeed ending their life with their evil, something tells me that they would end their evil. Maybe I'm just naive. Back with more in a moment.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. You can reach out to us via the telephone. We would prefer that. Why someone doesn't, I don't know. It rings. I answer it. I'm nice. I'm a nice person. I will talk. I won't stomp on you. I promise. But just feel free to call. If you don't want to, if you're just afraid or what have you, then I don't know why you wouldn't be, because when it comes right down to it, I'm just a peaceful, gentle little fuzzball. Mostly. Ish. So you can join us on the chat room. The chat room can be found at Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, X, blah, blah, blah. I said Twitter instead of X. You can also find us on Patreon later on today. Actually, you can find us later on Patreon. Rumble is going on right now. Let me see. Let me double check to see if Rumble is actually doing anything today. As we come to this, it's working. It's working right there. Rumble is happening. It's rumbling. We're live on Rumble. Tell your friends if you like this broadcast. If you think there's something to it, please share it with your friends. Give us those likes. Give us those thumbs ups. Those are important to us. Subscribe to the broadcast. Use the notification. Ring the bell so that you know when we're on the air. And if you'd like to support the show financially, go to patreon.com/The Wells Report. You can float us a couple of bucks. If you do that, it means a lot to us. So yesterday, there was something weird going on. It showed up and people were going, what? And people are still going, what? Apparently, Russia has been doing something strange with nuclear weapons in space. Now, from what we understand, American technology and American intelligence has been following this story around for quite some time, but for some reason, it just showed up. Actually, the reason is because a Republican chairman of the House Intelligence Committee decided to say, hey, there's something weird going on. Here's the ABC News copy on this. The White House National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, and leading lawmakers on Capitol Hill are trying to allay your public concern. This happened yesterday after the House Intelligence Committee chairman warned of a, quote, national security threat related to a destabilizing foreign military capability so serious that President Joe Biden should declassify all information about it. Two sources familiar with deliberations on Capitol Hill said that the intelligence has to do with Russia wanting to put a nuclear weapon into space. This would not be to drop a nuclear weapon onto Earth, but to rather possibly use it against satellites. Still, it's very concerning, very sensitive, and violates some very important treaties, specifically Weapons in Space Treaty from 1967. While not addressing the subject directly, multiple members of Congress quickly described the issue as serious without trying to stoke public alarm. We're going to work together to address this matter as we do all sensitive matters that are classified. This was according to House Speaker Mike Johnson telling reporters at the Capitol yesterday afternoon. But we just want to assure everyone, steady hands are at the wheel. Representative Jim Himes, a Connecticut Democrat and the ranking member on the House Intelligence Committee, echoed in his own statement, calling the warning significant but not a cause for panic. As to whether more can be declassified about the issue, this is a worthwhile discussion, but not a discussion to be had in public. Mike Turner is the Ohio Republican and chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. He said in a statement his panel had made available to all members of Congress information concerning a serious national security threat. His statement went on to say this, quote, I am requesting that President Biden declassify all information regarding to this threat so that Congress, the administration, and our allies can openly discuss the actions necessary to respond to this threat. He said he was making information on the matter available in a secure location to all members of the House in accordance with chamber rules. Now, Jake Sullivan had a planned meeting today. As a matter of fact, he talked about it a little bit yesterday as he was, again, speaking to us, the American people, and to the media, trying to get his side of the story out and the side of the Biden administration.
I reached out earlier this week to the Gang of Eight to offer myself up for a personal briefing to the Gang of Eight. And in fact, we scheduled a briefing for the 4 House members of the Gang of Eight tomorrow. That's been on the books. So I am a bit surprised that Congressman Turner came out publicly today in advance of a meeting on the books for me to go sit with him alongside our intelligence and defense professionals tomorrow. That's his choice to do that. All I can tell you is that I'm focused on going to see him, sit with him, as well as the other House members of the Gang of Eight tomorrow. And I'm not in a position to say anything further from this podium at this time, other than to make the broad point that this administration has gone further and in more creative, more strategic ways dealt with the declassification of intelligence in the national interest of the United States than any administration in history. So you definitely are not going to find an unwillingness to do that when it's in our national security interest to do so. At the same time, we, of course, have to continue to prioritize and focus very much on the issue of sources and methods. We'll do that. Ultimately, these are decisions for the president to make. But in the meantime, the most important thing is we have the opportunity to sit in a classified setting and have the kind of conversation with the House intelligence leadership that I, in fact, had scheduled before Congressman Turner went out today.
All right. So that's Jake Sullivan explaining it from his point of view and the administration's point of view. We don't really know a whole lot about this. but there are people who do. One of them is Leon Panetta. Leon Panetta is the former CIA director, and he has reacted to this particular circumstance and did so yesterday with CNN as we bring you this report. Oops, that didn't work. Let me try that one more time. Let me hit the little arrow and off we go.
By Leon Panetta, who served as Defense Secretary and CIA Director in the Obama administration. First of all, Mr. Secretary, does it make any sense to you that Mike Turner, the Republican House Intelligence Chair, would release a statement which drew world attention to this intelligence before the Gang of Eight briefing that, according to National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, is scheduled for tomorrow?
Well, it's something that does obviously raise questions about what he was trying to accomplish by doing that. Obviously, it is a serious national security threat with the kind of information that's being reported. As to why he would get ahead of the briefings, and I know that the national security chief is going to be going up to the Hill, both with intelligence and Pentagon officials, to brief members of Congress on this important intelligence. It strikes me that what the chairman was trying to do perhaps was to try to send a wake-up call to both the speaker and his Republican colleagues that Russia still remains very much a threat to the United States.
Well, let's talk about, I mean, there's a lot, obviously we don't know much about the details of this, but anti-satellite technology, obviously any military force would try to knock out an opponent's satellites. What concerns you about this? What do you make of the little that's publicly available out there?
Well, we've been, I think, tracking this ever since I was both secretary and director of the CIA. We were concerned about China and their ability to use laser beams to basically, in some way, destabilize satellites or bring them down. This involves the possibility of nuclear weapons in space. It's a military capability, and using those nuclear weapons in space to basically either paralyze these satellites or bring them down. And what is the problem? The problem is that we use satellites for communications purposes. We use satellites for intelligence purposes. We use satellites for GPS purposes and other information purposes as well that relate to our national security. If Russia could blind our ability to be able to gather that kind of information, make no mistake about it, that would be an act of war because it would threaten our national security.
There is no doubt about that. It is absolutely correct that it is an act of war. It has long been thought of as an act of war. And Leon Panetta has perfectly described the situation. Now, anti-satellite weapons, those are not new. As a matter of fact, nuclear anti-satellite missiles or warheads of some kind, they're not new either. You put a big, dumb nuclear weapon up in space, and not only does the actual physical blast take out a whole bunch of satellites, because everybody knows where these satellites are. Everybody knows where all the military satellites are, et cetera, et cetera. They're in constellations around the Earth. Some are in polar orbit, some are in equatorial orbit, but they're everywhere. And so what ends up happening is that you go up there, you put a 400 kiloton nuclear blast up in space. Not only does it physically destroy some satellites, but it also zorches many others through what's called electromagnetic pulse. Now, there's no way for these satellites to protect themselves from EMP because there's no way to ground their the electrons that are bombarding them because of a nuclear weapon. So this stuff is not new unless we're talking about a completely different kind of system. Whether it's a nuclear-powered reactor, a nuclear reactor up in space that is powering a laser. Certainly the ability to shoot down satellites with lasers is also not very, it's not new. We had a 747, a U.S. military 747 that carried around a gigantic laser that was quite capable of shooting down rockets, taking out aircraft and certainly satellites. And they put some of those systems on ships for that exact same reason. For those exact same reasons. So this is not something new. However, it is interesting. It is interesting that suddenly this comes out of nowhere. And you normally don't hear from the House Intelligence Chairman, regardless of party, under any circumstances. You almost never do. So, okay, what is it about this particular system that got Mike Turner to say, hey, wait a minute, this is serious. What we need to do is we need to have the president declassify all this information. Declassify it. Put it on the table. Of course, then you get back into the intelligence community saying, hey, wait a minute, you put that information on the table. Suddenly, it narrows down the number of people from, say, for example, Russia that would have access to that kind of information. And that's how you get your spies killed. And so I doubt very sincerely that that's going to happen, although that cat is kind of out of the bag with Mike Turner saying, hey, look, there's a Russian nuclear anti-satellite system out there and the president needs to declassify all the information about it. Well, technically, he has declassified enough so that there's now a mole hunt by Russian intelligence to go and find out exactly what's going on with their secrets, because obviously Russia wanted to keep this under wraps. Well, it's not under wraps any longer. The question is, what is next? So the congressman, Mike Turner, went on to say he was making the information available in a secure location so the members of the House, in accordance with chamber rules, could go see it. Well, not everybody's cleared for that information. So once again, this is something that he is willing to compromise sources and methods of our intelligence community in order to get to us, to put it in front of us. Lawmakers arrived to the committee space throughout the afternoon to view the raw intelligence for the Turner warning. That was inside a SCIF, a secured compartmented information facility in the basement of the Capitol. It's concerning, said Bruce Westerman. He is a Republican from Arkansas. Afterwards, he did not address any additional details. This, by the way, still according to ABC. A letter sent to some members of Congress from Turner and Himes, obtained by NBC, make that ABC News, indicated the threat is linked to, quote, a destabilizing foreign military capability that should be known by all congressional policy makers. White House National Security Officer Jake Sullivan said yesterday in a press briefing, part of which you just saw, that he had already scheduled a classified meeting with congressional leadership. Sullivan was pressed several times by reporters about the intelligence request. He declined to specifically say if today's meeting will discuss the reported threat. Of course it will. That's why they're having a meeting. He also declined to provide further details about it beyond saying that broadly Americans understand there are a range of threats and challenges in the world that we are dealing with every single day, such as terrorism. He went on to say, quote, I am confident that President Biden and the decisions that he is taking is going to ensure the security of the American people, unquote. He did mention that he reached out to the Gang of Eight. That is a reference to leaders of both parties in both chambers of Congress and the ranking intelligence members to offer up a personal briefing. So he was a little bit surprised with Congressman Mike Turner coming out with this today, meaning yesterday. Sullivan said the White House has gone further in more creative, more strategic ways to deal with declassification of intelligence. Well, I certainly hope they do a little bit now, because it's not that I'm insanely curious about what's going on, but you don't hear about stuff like this from Washington, D.C. very often, if at all. There must be a pretty good reason why this has come spilling out in front or at the feet of the American people. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. That's our telephone number. Chat room is flying. Please join us if you will. This is the Wells Report for the 15th day of February, 2024.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. Telephone number 817-379-2172. While we're on the subject of space. After 16 years of operation, a defunct satellite is going to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere sometime this month. Now, the odds are that since the Earth is mostly covered with water, that pieces of the satellite will land in water. Let's just hope it doesn't land in the water of, say, for example, a cruise ship's pool, and the body that it lands on is some person from Peoria, and, you just don't know. The European Space Agency launched the Heritage ERS-2 satellite in 1995 after its sister satellite, ERS-1. The ERS-2 mission ended in September of 2011. The space agency used the satellite to track the Earth's decreasing polar ice, shifting land masses, rising sea levels, warming oceans, and changing atmospheric chemistry. Since the satellite's retirement, the agency has been slowly lowering its altitude. The agency said its maneuvers used up the satellite's remaining fuel, lowered the average altitude from 785 kilometers, that's 488 miles, to about 573 kilometers, 356 miles, in order to greatly reduce the risk of collision with other satellites or space debris. The maneuver also altered the satellite's orbit so that it would re-enter the Earth's atmosphere within 15 years. Well, here we are. ERS-2 is huge. It's about the size of a city bus. Now, when you talk about that, you're talking about the solar arrays generating electricity. That's about as long as a city bus. The actual satellite itself is about the size of half of a city bus. That's still a large piece of machinery that is going to re-enter. The solar panels extended are 38.4 feet across. The whole thing weighs 2.5 tons. Its total height is 38.7 feet. The European remote sensing satellite. Something tells me it does a lot more than just watch the atmosphere. I'm just saying. The satellite is already low enough the atmosphere could cause it to rapidly descend in the upcoming days. ERS-2 is out of fuel. The European Space Agency, cannot control it. It's expected to start disintegrating in the atmosphere about 50 miles above Earth. Debris could crash to the surface, according to the Space Agency. Most likely, however, the debris will land in an ocean, given that water makes up 70% of the Earth's surface. So orbital debris, as I try to speak English, is known as space junk. It can range from defunct satellites like ERS-2, or small fragments of rockets or satellites. It can be even human waste from astronauts on space missions. You don't want to have a collision with that. The number of objects in the Earth's orbit has risen dramatically over the past 30 years. According to the European Space Agency, the overwhelming majority of untracked space debris is smaller than 0.4 inches. And you're saying, okay, that's nothing. I mean, that is a lot smaller than a housefly. Yeah. Except this particular housefly will be moving at a combined speed of, depending on its orbit, somewhere between 20 to 25,000 miles an hour. And that will do serious damage to a satellite or a spacecraft or an astronaut or what have you. You know, that's 0.4 inch object will go right through an astronaut in his spacesuit. It's really amazing. To give you an idea of just exactly how much space junk is out there, look at this picture. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger so you can see it. The thing about this is that every little spot you see there is space junk. The picture on the right is space junk in low Earth orbit. Now remember, these are small little pieces of stuff. There are big pieces of stuff, but there you go. If you look on the left picture, you'll notice that constellation of satellites that is much farther out there. And those are GPS satellites. Those are satellites that are geosynchronous. In other words, they point at the same spot on the Earth all the time, the communication satellites, etc. Okay, so that gives you a basic understanding of just exactly what's out there. And yeah, there's a lot of space junk. But then again, you also need to understand that space junk is in a huge volume of space. I mean, it looks like, according to that picture, you would say to yourself, man, that's really close. I mean, that's a lot of space junk. You'd think that you'd be able to see one after another. No, not at all. Not a bit. As a matter of fact, it's really amazing when you start thinking about just exactly how much room is out there. If you want to know what it's like, say, for example, you can get on a boat somewhere in a lake. And even if it's a very, very busy day, there's a lot of space between you and the other boat. It's even more amazing in the atmosphere itself when you're flying in a jet. Okay? 1,000 feet is a long way. And that's the closest that jets get under any circumstance. That's assuming that they're flying together. And so when you start talking about this, it's called the big sky theory. Well, let's hope that the big sky theory holds true and doesn't become the, oh my goodness, it's raining satellite on our heads theory. Let's hope for that. That is the end of hour number 1 on this edition of the Wells Report. We've got hour number 2 coming up in just a couple of seconds. Telephone number 817-379-2172. Give us a buzz. Join the chat room. Back with more in just a moment.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning for the Wells Report, and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Patreon, and don't forget to check out our Substack column, which will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. When you do all this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. They are really important. Check the notification box so you know when we're on the air, and whatever you do, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, for the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. I'm John David Wells. Today is the Ides of February. It's February 15th. What do we do on this broadcast? We report the news, honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. In short, we de-propagandize the mainstream media. We're good at it. We do make commentary. That's not news. Commentary is opinion, both yours and mine. And so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. The president, the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, is currently trying to battle through various legal challenges to his freedom, liberty, and his reputation. And there are a couple of things going on today, one of which he will not appear at, the other he will. We're going to cover some of that. And what we're talking about first is this racketeering charge that was levied against the former president in Georgia regarding the 2020 election. It is a blockbuster hearing that's happening today, and it has, for the first time in a long time, nothing to do with Donald Trump, but it does have to do with his case in Georgia. This could decide the fate of the Georgia election racketeering case against the former president and 14 others, charged with trying to illegally overturn the 2020 election results in a state he lost by a whisker to Democrat Joe Biden. This, by the way, from USA Today. The hearing marks the first time a judge will officially determine if allegations surrounding an affair between Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and private attorney she hired to oversee the case, Nathan Wade, are substantial enough to disqualify one or both of them, and potentially even to dismiss the case altogether. This after 3 years of investigation and prosecution. Allegations about the affair by Trump co-defendant Michael Roman have made international headlines since he first aired them in a bombshell January 8th court filing. Since then, they have launched several rounds of bitter and increasingly personal accusations. Here are the key players, the big issues, explosive revelations, and what could ultimately happen in a case that could derail Trump's campaign for a second term. Doesn't look like this is going to be the case that does it. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee is holding an evidentiary hearing that promises to include extremely personal details of the private lives of Willis, Wade, and potentially others who Roman's defense attorney wants to call as witnesses. The hearing promises so many fireworks that on Monday, McAfee ruled that not only is there enough evidence to potentially disqualify Fani Willis, but at least one extra day of hearings will be needed to hear all the evidence and testimony from witnesses for the prosecution and the defense. On February 2nd, Willis and Wade admitted in a sworn court filing that they have had a personal relationship that included a romantic affair weeks after staying silent on the issue. Roman alleged that Wade, a private lawyer with little relevant experience in prosecuting complex racketeering cases, was unqualified to work on the case. He charged that Wade used some of the more than $650,000 he's been paid as a special prosecutor to take Fani Willis on romantic vacations to California wine country, specifically Napa Valley, Florida, and on Caribbean cruises. At issue is whether Willis's clandestine affair with Wade represents an improper conflict of interest that irrevocably taints the case, as defendant Roman alleges. In his initial motion, Roman asserted their relationship provided both Willis and Wade with a financial incentive to keep the investigation and subsequent prosecution going so they could enrich themselves personally and improperly and benefit from the proceedings. Wade and Willis strenuously denied using any of the money Wade has received in legal fees from the county for their vacations together. This is where we get back to the F word, fungible. In other words, it's very much like drinking out of, say, for example, a very, very large pitcher, or better yet, one of those really, really good water ice chests. Igloo makes them. You know what I'm talking about, the big orange ones. So let's assume that that's a piggy bank, and let's assume that it's full of money, but not completely full. So let's open up the lid and put more money into this piggy bank. In other words, you can say that these funds are separate, but they're not. They are commingled, very much like putting more water in one of these like a Gott cooler or something like that, so that you can say, well, this particular water that we have has nothing to do with the water that was in there, but that's not real. That gives you an idea of what fungibility is all about. Anyway, that being said, they are now testifying in this statement that their sworn court filings, that their affair began after Willis hired Wade on November 1st to oversee the case. The very next day, Roman noted, Wade filed for divorce from his wife of more than 26 years, Jocelyn Wade. She has also alleged in unrelated divorce papers that Willis is Wade's paramour. Willis and Wade have also insisted that neither of them received any financial benefit from the continuation of the case. Not true. Absolutely not true. Certainly in the case of Wade, and Wade is spending all this money, it looks kind of like a kickback to me. It really does. It looks like a kickback to me. But Fani Willis said that their merely being in a relationship together has no bearing on the investigation and prosecution of Trump and others, including former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani and former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. All have denied wrongdoing. All pled not guilty. 4 of the initial 19 defendants, including Trump's former legal advisors Sidney Powell and Jenna Ellis, have flipped or entered into plea agreements which they could receive potentially more lenient treatment in exchange for cooperation with prosecutors. So it's a key question. Ashley Merchant, Roman's lawyer, prominent Atlanta defense attorney, told a judge in the Monday hearing that she wants to bring to the stand a former law partner of Wade's and a former DA office employee, both to testify. Wade's romantic relationship with their boss began before, not after, Willis hired him, if true. The potential testimony by lawyer Terrence Bradley, who has not commented publicly, would not only mean that Willis and Wade both lied in their sworn court filings, but they could potentially be disqualified from the case, if not the bar. This is, you cannot lie in court. You just can't. Judge McAfee ruled in allowing the evidentiary hearing to go forward. Willis and Wade both tried to quash subpoenas requiring them to testify, presumably to avoid having the details of their personal lives and romantic relationship aired in a publicly live-streamed courtroom. Merchant also told the judge Bradley would testify that Willis and Wade had stayed together in at least one county safe house apartment used by the district attorney following threats to her life over the Trump prosecution. Merchant told the judge that she wants to call several witnesses to bolster her case. It's ugly and it's a mess. And that is only the Georgia case. There's another case out there. This one has to do with the handling of classified materials by the former president, Donald Trump. And special counsel Jack Smith is trying to get the Supreme Court to move this forward. He wants that done. Erin Burnett, who's spending a lot of time today on the Wells Report because she's actually doing some really good journalism. I'm not exactly sure about her her opinions mixed with that journalism, but all I can tell you is she's on the right stories. There's no doubt about it. And this is another one. This is a conversation regarding just exactly what Special Prosecutor Jack Smith wants from the Supreme Court.
What Jack Smith's team is asking the court to do is to let the election subversion case move forward. They want the court to reject Trump's effort to try to overturn the lower court ruling that said he does not have immunity from prosecution in this case. Smith's team's writing, delay in the resolution of these charges threatens to frustrate the public interest in a speedy and fair trial. And they also give the court an option saying, if you do want to hear this case on the merits, consider this the petition to do that and have oral arguments in this case next month, because they obviously want to go to trial before November. Aaron?
So Carrie, I mean, now it's just hours. Trump's going to be attending a major hearing in his hush money case in New York, where, of course, you are right now. You're going to be in the courtroom for that tomorrow. What are you expecting?
Yeah, I mean, this is a crucial hearing, and it's with comes as all of Trump's criminal cases have been colliding this week. So we are expecting the judge to make some key rulings in this case, including the trial date.
All right, that's from Erin Burnett out front, and she is most certainly covering the story. That is yet another case that is currently going on. Let me give you more information about that. There is a case in New York that has to do with hush money being paid to a woman who alleged some kind of a tryst with regards to President Trump. And that particular case is going on today. And that hush money case begins with pre-trial hearings that are going on as we speak. So President Trump is theoretically supposed to be at that particular event. And let me see what I got here. No, cancel. Thank you. I almost took us off the air. Oops. So let me get back to what we're talking about here. These are live updates on this case. The top prosecutor selected by Fulton County, that's Fulton County. That's the subversion case in the disqualification. Here we go. What we know so far about the schedule for the criminal trial in New York, the logistics of Donald Trump's first official criminal trial are coming into focus. Attorneys continue to hammer out scheduling in court. There will be 18 jurors, a panel of 12 with 6 alternates seated in the jury box. This was all a part of today's pretrial hearing. Judge Juan Merchant confirmed in court. Court will not be in session on Wednesdays. There will not be court on April 29th. Court will go from 9:30 a.m. Eastern time till at least 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, if not later, said Judge Merchant. Merchant also said he would try to work with attorneys on scheduling around the Jewish holidays in April, but also said he would not take an entire week from the trial. Let's see what else is going on. Let's see. Hold on. Let me get to this. Prosecution defense squabbling over the questions that zero in on the political affiliation and opinion of Trump. Manhattan District Attorney prosecutors say they do not want to ask jurors specifically about their political affiliations or about their political donations that would get at the question indirectly. This case is not supposed to be about politics, said Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Josh Steinglass. Defense attorney Todd Blanche disagreed, saying it can't be ignored. The defense attorney is completely correct on this. Donald Trump is a former president of the United States. What you're talking about is a mini election. You're talking about people that would ignore any kind of truth that would exonerate President Trump in order to find him guilty. And likewise, people that would ignore any kind of criminal wrongdoing to try to acquit him from that case. The simple case of the matter is that this is a mini election. All of these things are. This is another reason why presidents are never, ever charged in criminal court. Because they can't be. They can't be. They cannot do their jobs if they have to look over their shoulders to find out if some Manhattan district attorney is going to involve himself in something that is between two consenting adults. A hush money payment, even if it's real or imagined, a hush money payment is between two consenting adults. There is no reason for the state of New York or any other state to have anything to do with one of those kinds of one of those kinds of agreements. At least in my view, the only thing that could stand in the way of that is a biased jury that just wants to convict Donald Trump regardless of what's discussed in the case. It's the Wells Report. Back in a minute.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. So we've got some media news here. Paramount Global, earlier this week, a couple of days ago, cut 800 employees across various departments. And according to the article in the Washington Times, CBS News reporter Catherine Herridge was one of the people who was let go. She is somebody that I truly admire. In a world of propagandist news, Catherine Herridge remains a stalwart beacon of real American television journalism. She always has been that way. She always will be that way. And I have absolute admiration for Ms. Catherine Herridge. She's a longtime correspondent, renowned for her investigative journalism. Her layoff has drawn special attention given her involvement in a significant legal battle concerning the protection of a source, for which she has asserted her First Amendment rights. What happened is that she found out, let me see if I can get this to you right here. She is embroiled in this First Amendment case, this, by the way, from the Daily Beast, in a series of Fox News stories about a federal probe into Chinese-American scientist Yanping Chen, who officials had investigated for lying on immigration forms, though brought no charges. Herridge refused to comply with a federal judge order to reveal how she uncovered the probe last year. This included sources who provided her with the information. Herridge has challenged a potential contempt of court ruling. So that is one of the situations that is something that she is dealing with. That being said, she's going to win. This has gotten through the federal courts before. It always hits a complete roadblock, which is absolutely proper. Freedom of the press guarantees freedom, period. So Ms. Herridge, previously with Fox News, penned a report in 2017 exploring the investigation into Yanping Chen, as we just discussed. She clashed with CBS News president Ingrid Cyprian-Matthews. She is a sharp-elbowed executive who was investigated in 2021 over favoritism and discriminatory hiring and management practices, according to the New York Post. One source told the paper that CBS News, which employs 2,000 people, got hit with 20 job cuts, one of them Catherine Herridge. Among those who also got pink slips were Christina Ruffini, political correspondent who's been featured on CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell, and CBS Mornings, and Jeff Pegues, who was the chief national affairs and justice correspondent. Pamela Falk, correspondent who covered the United Nations, was also laid off, according to sources. The staff reduction has led to a wave of discontent within CBS, especially against the backdrop of the corporate leadership's compensation. Paramount Global CEO Bob Bakish takes home $32 million in salary, and this in a company that is struggling. Now, I sincerely regret that the real journalists that lost their job in this CBS News cut are now on the street looking for work. I'm sure Catherine Herridge is going to land on her feet. As far as the other two, I'm not so sure. I don't know their work as well. But Catherine Herridge is going to be just fine. The problem with all of this is that this particular company is rumored to be up for sale. CBS News is rumored to be up for sale. And CBS News is a corporate entity that is very important to the people of the United States. After all, Walter Cronkite used to work there, along with many other people, Dan Rather, Charles Schieffer, a lot of those guys. There's been an awful lot of real news covered by CBS, although recently they have been more interested in covering things in a way that's propagandist as opposed to informational. And I think that this is finally catching up to that corporation. Not necessarily Catherine Herridge. She doesn't propagandize at all, which may lead to the fight between she and the CEO of the CBS News division. So all I can tell you is that you can only defy gravity for so long. And if you want to report everything as political, specifically based on your particular political proclivities, it's going to catch up with you. It's going to catch up. And it looks like it's catching up with CBS News. Long overdue, in my view. This is the Wells Report. Telephone number 817-379-2172. Back with more in a moment as we continue on Thursday.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. I am John David Wells. It's happening in Atlanta. A former friend and co-worker of Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has testified today that Willis's personal relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade began before he was hired in the Georgia election interference case against Donald Trump. This contradicts sworn court testimony to the contrary. Robin Yurdy's testimony directly contradicts statements from Willis and Wade that their personal relationship did not begin until after Wade was hired in November of 2021. Yurdy was called to testify in a hearing to determine whether Willis should be removed from the case, accusing Donald Trump and others of conspiring to overturn the 2020 presidential election results in the state of Georgia. By the way, just so you know, Yurdy, who previously worked in the district attorney's office, testified she saw Wade and Willis hugging and kissing prior to November of 2021. In a court filing earlier this month, Willis and Wade acknowledged a personal relationship. Currently on the stand right now is Nathan Wade, the special prosecutor in the case. He is answering questions. Let's dip into some of that coverage, courtesy of Fox News.
Let him finish, and then you can redirect him.
One flight that she actually booked, yes. The other flights I booked, she paid for.
So the affidavit, you submitted one flight that she booked and paid for.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the phrasing of that question. The line in the affidavit is not as Ms. Merchant is representing it. It said examples of the District Attorney Willis purchasing plane tickets for she and I with her personal funds were attached as an exhibit. It certainly did not represent that it was the only example of the District Attorney purchasing flights for Mr. Wade or for compensating other travel.
All right, understand, Ms. Cross. I think that's something you can, it's now on the record, but also something you can take on cross.
Thank you. And just so everybody's clear, all I asked you is your affidavit, you submitted proof of one flight that she paid for and booked. That's all I'm asking. Correct?
With the explanation, yes, ma'am.
It's all I needed. You said in the affidavit that you roughly shared travel, though, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this roughly sharing travel, you're saying she reimbursed you.
She did.
And where did you deposit the money she reimbursed you?
Oh, it was cash. She didn't give me any checks.
So she paid you cash for her share of all these vacations.
Mr. Schaefer, you'll step out if you do that again.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so all of the vacations that she took, she paid you cash for.
Yes, ma'am.
And you purchased all of these vacations on your business credit card, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you included those in deductions on your taxes, correct?
No, ma'am.
No, you did not.
No, ma'am.
Okay. We'll get to that in just a minute then. Let's see. So the only thing that you have actual documentary proof, not cash, is this one receipt that you attached to the affidavit. Is that correct?
Your Honor, I object to that question. That is a mischaracterization of the assertion that is in the affidavit.
I'm asking.
So then he can deny it. I think he can fend for himself. Ms. Merchant.
Is this the only written proof that you have of a trip she paid for?
That I have?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you submitted the one piece of written evidence that you have that she paid for something. Everything else is in cash. Is that accurate?
No.
That's not accurate. Okay. Please tell me, what other receipts do you have then that show that she paid for things?
I don't have them.
Okay. So this is the only receipt that you have to show that she paid for travel.
That I have. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. In your divorce case, you filed a domestic relations financial affidavit, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The first one you filed was in January 2022, right?
Thereabout. Yes, ma'am.
And those are under oath?
Yes.
Okay. And you also filed corporate taxes in 2022, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me about your business. Do you have a partnership or are you a solo practitioner?
As it stands today?
Yes.
So today, I have a separate PC. My law partner has his own separate PC.
Okay.
So, but we're under the same umbrella, under the same roof. So we share expenses, we share income, and we split it.
So are you a partnership?
We are a partnership in the sense of we share expenses, we share income.
Are you registered with the state of Georgia as a partnership?
So the WBC firm that included myself, Terrence Bradley, and Christopher Campbell, we were registered with the Secretary of State as a partnership
Right.
for a short period of time.
That
When
was dissolved, though, right, in 2023?
I'm going to object to the witness answer his question.
Mr. Wade, do you have something else to add there?
I did, when things happened and we excused Mr. Bradley from that partnership, it left Christopher Campbell and myself. So now you have two separate PCs under the same umbrella, sharing expenses and income.
Okay. So let me just narrow down my questions then. Are you registered? And have you been registered at any time in the state of Georgia as Wade and Campbell?
Wade, no ma'am.
You've never been registered as a partnership?
As Wade and Campbell, no
Wade
ma'am.
and Campbell, yes, thank you.
But as Wade Bradley Campbell, yes ma'am.
Wade Bradley Campbell was registered on April 1st, 2021, and administratively dissolved on September 8th, 2023, correct?
Yes ma'am.
Other than that partnership, you have always been registered as law office of Nathan Wade,
Yes ma'am.
not with Chris Campbell.
Correct.
Thank you. So the affidavit that you filed in your divorce case, the first one in 2022, I think I'm up to number 7. I'm going to just give you a group of exhibits so we don't have to go back and forth. I'm marking the 2022 as 7. I'm marking the 2024 as 8. I'm marking the credit card statements as 9, and your taxes as 10.
I'm going to object to taxes, for the relevance of them at this point. The relevance of this entire business structure doesn't seem clear to me as either impeaching or relevant to the issues that the courts, under the court's consideration. But insofar as we're talking about tax returns and other things like that, certainly that's should be redacted, and I would object to the relevance of it.
I agree they should be redacted. I don't agree to the relevance, but I haven't tried to tender them yet, Judge. I'm just marking them right now so that everyone can follow.
All right. And what is the eventual relevance that you were getting at here?
Well, I'm going to ask him because one of the things that we have to show in this case is a personal and financial interest. So, and he's talked about how he was reimbursed for these things, and so I have a right to go into the veracity of those statements. So let's see, 7, 8, sorry.
All right, so that is what's going on in this particular case. Scott McAfee is the Superior Court judge who is hearing this case, this evidentiary case, to find out whether or not there is some kind of inappropriate changing of money. And what woke me up immediately was the fact that a lot of the transactions between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade are apparently in cash. And there was also a question about whether or not those cash payments were reflected on tax forms and tax returns. That is significant in this particular case. But I thought you'd like to see a little bit of that, insofar as this is important, because a former president is up for some serious legal trouble. This election interference to the tune of racketeering is no small thing. But moving on now, there's some immigration news that came out under the border security banner. Thomas Catenacci of Fox News was the author of this rather disturbing article in foxnews.com today. Immigration experts are raising the alarm about the increasing flow of migrants illegally crossing into the U.S. And you're saying, well, that's not news. I mean, what's the story with that? I mean, we've been following this. I mean, 10 million people have shown up in the last 3 years. Yes, I understand. But what's interesting is that this gets back to an issue from the 2020 census. This increasing flow of migrants may significantly impact states' representation in the House of Representatives and Electoral College. A lot of people have been looking at all this saying, you keep saying, John David, that these people are not here to do jobs that Americans won't do. These people are here to cast votes that Americans won't cast. And I believe that that's absolutely true. But they are already impacting American politics, thus the American society, simply by being here. Simply by being here. Because since the 2020 census refused, and indeed in a court action, was barred from asking people whether or not they were American citizens, which is gross malfeasance. I mean, that's ridiculous. If you're trying to find out how many people live in the United States, you need to know how many of them are American citizens. And you need to know what kind of American citizens they are. Are they natural-born American citizens? Are they naturalized American citizens? Are they here on a visa and thus are allowed to vote? Or are they illegal? You need to have all of those particular categories identified and counted. But because of political reasons and, a political judiciary, in the 2020 census, you couldn't ask whether somebody was an American citizen, which is ridiculous. I said it then, I maintain it now. And all these people that say, well, we don't really have to worry about all these people coming to America, they're not voting. Yeah, well, they are voting because they're counted in reapportionment with regards to congressional seats. I don't know whether you're aware of this, but let's take California, for example. California has lost around 750,000 citizens in the last decade or so. And that means that they are going to lose political power unless those 750,000 people are replaced with a few million illegal aliens, in which case that power comes back, and maybe even a little more, but not based on American citizenry. This is based on illegal immigrancy. Yeah, okay, that's about time that this showed up. Shortly after taking office in January of 2021, President Biden signed an executive order requiring that the U.S. Census Bureau factor in all residents, including non-citizens, as part of the decennial calculation of the U.S. population. As a result, the apportionment of House seats and therefore electoral votes for president could be swayed as migrants continue to pour over the southern border. Yes, this is being reported by Fox News. Nobody else has reported it. Now, either it's because Fox News is biased or it's because the other news is biased. All that we can assume from any of this is that this is biased news, but it's also a real problem that Americans are going to have to confront. Illegal immigration has all kinds of effects. Among them is that it distorts the mechanics of democratic government, said Mark Krikorian, the executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies. He told Fox News in an interview that illegal immigrants are not even supposed to be here. So their inclusion in census for the purposes of apportionment is really outrageous. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. There are a lot of close votes in Congress, more than there used to be. So it can, in fact, make a difference, said Krikorian. It shouldn't be a question of, does this give you personally more influence in Washington? The question should be, is it right? Is it healthy for the democratic process in the United States to be distorted this way? The answer is most assuredly not. That, according to Mr. Krikorian and this reporter. Overall, according to the Federation for American Immigration Reform, there are an estimated 16.8 million illegal immigrants living in the U.S. as of June 2023. Therefore, because every House seat represents 761,168 residents on average, the total number of illegal immigrants accounts for roughly 22 seats in the House of Representatives. 22 seats. The most recent census, conducted in 2020, reduced the number of House seats apportioned to New York from 27 to 26. Well, guess what? They're going to get those seats back. The question is, should they? The answer is no. But this is one way that bad governmental policy at the state level can be sustained through illegal immigration instead of the accountability that comes with Americans having a government that operates in its own interests instead of the interests of the citizenry. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number is 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. Why do you watch this broadcast? Why do you come here for news? Why do you do that? Maybe it's because we actually know what we're doing and we report news honestly and fairly. We also don't have somebody on the broadcast to argue with. We have somebody on the broadcast to share a particular point of view. The questions I ask in an interview of that nature are designed to sharpen the points of the person I've asked to be on the broadcast. Occasionally, I will ask, say, for example, a question that may point to either a flaw in logic or a flaw in reality, but it's always very polite, and it's always very, very respectful. That is not what happened with a friend of mine who was on CNN the other day. Brianna Keilar is somebody who's on CNN and has no idea how to interview anyone, let alone a sitting member of Congress. A friend of mine, Beth Van Dyne, happens to be she is my congresswoman, in fact. I live in her district. And she and Ms. Keilar got together, and I'm still trying to figure out just exactly what CNN's supposed anchor was trying to elicit from Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. See for yourself.
This is obviously huge for Republicans and really for anyone who is concerned about border security. But when you look at catch and release, you have to look at what's causing it. And it's a judicial backlog, right, of people who are coming and they are applying for, excuse me, I let you speak, who are coming to protect or coming and looking for protection. There's not enough room for everyone. So you have them being released. But the law that you said you don't need, the Senate deal, had it passed and become law, would have prevented that. It would have actually upped that credible. It would have upped that credible fear threshold. It would have upped that credible.
No, it actually
fear.
wouldn't have.
It,
It would have allowed
excuse me,
5,000 people
it
in
would-
our country a
No, that's
day,
not true. And that's
which
not
is
true. And the
5
Border
times as
Patrol
much as
Council
was coming through.
Ma'am,
over
may I please speak,
during
or I'm
the
going to
Trump
have to cut
administration.
this. If you won't let me speak, I'm going to cut the interview off.
Wow.
And I will let you speak and finish sentences.
I would.
Okay, and please,
Thank you
please give me
very
that
much.
respect as well.
Thank you very much.
So what I will say is the Border Patrol Council disagrees with you. They've been very frustrated with what you are representing as 5,000 people. That is actually.
Is there a question
trigger.
coming up? I mean, does anybody see a question coming up out of this? You know what? That is a lecture. It is not a journalistic effort under any circumstances. And it's awful. And it's terrible. And Breonna Keeler needs to be dismissed forthwith. That's a sitting U.S. Congresswoman. You don't get to argue or lecture a Congresswoman on your own show even. I would never do that. Somebody asked me whether or not how I would interview Barack Obama. And it's real simple. I'd say, Mr. President, we are flattered that you are here. Thank you for joining us. And then I would ask whatever question that was indicated, whether he had written a book or whether he had said something in public that I wanted to have some kind of information about. And if whether I agree with him or not is immaterial. The simple case of the matter is that you need the information that he is basing his thinking on, instead of trying to get into some kind of a ridiculous idea about whether you know more than the guest that you asked on your broadcast. Ms. Keeler is not very good at this, and she just proved it. And this, by the way, is something that is pervasive in American journalism, or what is called American journalism. It is most assuredly not. You know, I was just talking a little bit about Catherine Herridge. And the difference between Catherine Herridge, even though she is doing somewhat of a different discipline, she is not necessarily an anchor person. She is a correspondent. She is an investigative journalist. She goes out there to try to find the real truth about any given topic. Breonna Keeler is basically just trying to be a horse's ass. And in that particular case, she succeeds beyond her wildest expectations. Because this is ridiculous. You don't have somebody who is, say, for example, staking out a political point in the case of Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. You don't sit out there and say, well, you're wrong because of this and you're wrong because of that and so on and so forth, especially when the arguments are coming from not reliable news sources. They are opinion. You are arguing with a congresswoman about a matter of opinion instead of about a matter of fact. Journalism is not about opinion. Journalism is about fact. I talked about this yesterday. When I am doing opinion, I look at you here. When I'm doing news, I look at you here. Somebody suggested maybe I have signs behind me. No, I think you can probably figure it out. We make careful delineations between news and opinion. And we do that on purpose. And by the way, if I'm talking to a congresswoman about a matter of news, I'm not going to be talking about some opinion from somebody else that calls into question the congresswoman's latest statement or what have you. I'm going to ask her about her statement. I'm going to refine it with questions. I'm going to ask her if she thought about this and that, if something comes up in the conversation that requires me to ask her about maybe motivation or maybe possible outcome. It's called journalism. I don't know what Breonna Taylor was doing, but that certainly is not that. This is the Wells Report. That's all we got for this Thursday for you TGIF fans. Sure happy it's Thursday. See you for the Friday edition tomorrow. And just like that, we are back. All right, let me go to the chat room since I didn't have a whole lot of chance to do that. Let's see here. Do we not have a SCOTUS 9-0 vote yet on whether state secretaries of state can take President Trump off the ballot? We do not have a decision yet. Should be any time now. Does anybody have a Valentine's hangover? No, I do not. Let's see, all the corruption, none of them will be held accountable. No orange jumpsuits and leg irons. No, those are reserved for President Trump. Let's see. I guess that was regarding the particular testimony by Nathan Wade. It makes me sick, said Diane. Diane Leaf, good to have you back. Thanks for joining us. Why do I come here? Because I love you, man. Beth rocks. She'd be a great Texas governor. I wish she could have been in Fort Worth, be a Fort Worth mayor for a while. Well, she was the mayor of Arlington, I believe. I'm not going to read your latest comment on that particular case. Great show, JD. Have a wonderful day. Have a great day, everyone. Catch you tomorrow, says Yvonne. Thank you, Jube. Thank you, Dirk. Yep, me too. Dirk, the executive producer. Jube, our publicist. Take good care of yourselves. Thanks very much for being here. I am going to get back to my rat killing, get some things done here in the broadcast booth. And until tomorrow, you take good care of yourself. Thanks very much for joining us on this edition